In this video, I'm going to tell you the hardest thing that it is for me to convince people to do once they're executing their Nomad Capitalist plans. Hey, I'm Andrew Henderson, and just last night I had a sit down with my operations manager, part of our team, and she and I were going through some of the cases that we're working on right now, some of the folks that we are helping. And one thing that we're always trying to do here is learn more and more about behavior and why people do certain things, why they don't do other things, trying to really get dialed in with people, because one of the things that I've learned over the years when it comes to people going offshore, living this nomad capitalist lifestyle, is there is a certain amount of fear. There's a certain amount of apprehension. There's a certain amount of wanting to make sure things are done right. And obviously people have different personalities. Some people are just really focused on every tiny detail and worried about everything. Others just say, hey, you know what? This is different. I want to make sure we're doing it correctly. And so what we discussed is the biggest blockage that we've been working through, but still needs a bit more effort, is getting people to make their necessary investments. Now, we've made a lot of progress in this actually in recent years, and we've figured out how to not only deliver plans to people that have investments that they're comfortable with, and that's an important thing, is just being honest with people and being honest with yourself when you're creating a plan for what you want to do offshore. Be honest, okay? I don't care if you have $1 million, you're probably not going to invest $1 million, right? You might not even invest 100,000 of your $1 million. So I think it's being honest is really important. And what I've talked about is, especially for us guys, we're often, want to throw around, I have the money, I can afford that, I can do that. Yeah, but will you? Will you make the investment? So I think that's the first part, being honest with yourself, being honest with the people that in our case, that we're helping to figure out what are the necessary investments. But the second part of that is, just going out and getting over the apprehension of doing your first deal. What she and I spoke about is, I'm currently looking for properties in Serbia on a personal level. And we found one that I like, and we're in the process of negotiating. We're very close. And I just said, I just want the negotiation to be finished. I want to do it. Let's go. sign the papers. Who's my power of attorney? Good. We have the attorney. Okay, great. Here we go. Because I've done so many of these deals, it's just let's go. I mean, I literally have standard operating procedures for doing a deal because we've become so comfortable with it that I want to make sure we don't forget anything. It's like that first time you're going on a big international trip. You spend a whole week packing your bag and everything's just so, and you're counting how many pairs of underwear you have and making sure you have the nail clippers. And now, for me at this point, well over a decade into this, I'm like, nail clippers, I don't know, they're somewhere. And then, you get there, they're not there, you go and buy them. And, just stuff like that. But I remember when I was doing my very first lease deal, actually. I was leasing my very first apartment overseas. And I remember sitting in the real estate agent's car across the street from the property and just signing the document. And I think I had to give him $5,000 in deposits. And thinking to myself, let me just double check everything. Let me get settled in. Years later, when I went back to buy a property in that same place, the property that I bought for many, many times $5,000 was much, much easier. The contract was much easier. I deferred to the lawyers because by that time I had developed a good network in the city, and it was just a pretty straightforward, easy deal because I'd become comfortable with the idea of just doing deals in that country. And I just knew what to expect. I knew what to look for. I knew what a contract looked like. It was all just pretty straightforward. Likewise, when I bought one of my first properties, I've told this story before, one of my first properties in Tbilisi in Georgia was the low price of $22,000. And they wanted cash, cold hard cash. I remember telling my lawyer, cash? Okay, where do I get the cash? You go to the bank. Do you have $22,000? Yeah, I have $22,000 in the bank. Okay, well, you go and you take it out. Okay, what am I going to do? Then you're going to walk to the closing. I said, well, what if someone attacks me on the way? He said, don't worry, we'll send the other attorney. We'll send my partner. He's got a black belt. He'll knock anybody out if they try and stop you. And of course, it's not an issue. It's a very safe place. But, Now, I've done many, many more deals. You take out much larger amounts of money, and it just flows. And so the lesson I want to impart to you is doing begets more doing. I think if I look at people that we've worked with, it's always easier when someone already lives overseas. Maybe they've already done something, maybe they've got a lease or they've gotten a residence permit or something, because they understand that leaving their own country, doing paperwork in some other country, sending money to some other country is not like the end of the world. When we work with folks who they only know their home country, one of the things that we've really had to work on is, how to motivate folks to do what they need to do. Now, again, we don't want them to do stuff that they're not willing to do. If you have $1 million, we're not going to say put 800,000 of it in one house in another country, because no one's going to be really willing to do that. And again, no matter how much money you have, it's a comfort thing, not a money thing. To me, the most important thing you can do when you're going offshore is do the first one. That's one reason why I've said before, if you want to dip your toe in, whether you're looking to move overseas and do the full benefits package, or whether you're just looking to kind of pick and choose certain benefits, what I recommend is a first step is opening a bank account. Theoretically, you can open one remotely from your house, and you don't have to go there. I do think that remote bank account openings are far less interesting now than they were a few years ago. Fewer banks do them. And I think that this the benefit of being in the country and seeing the bank, seeing how things work, feeling comfortable, I think that helps you get comfortable. But opening a bank account, whether it's from your home or whether you're going to the country, doesn't take that much effort. It's not really that uncomfortable. It's a nice kind of gateway drug into this offshore world, because you can do it very quickly and very easily. There are plenty of banks you can put $100 in the account. So even if you lost your $100, if this worst case scenario that everyone peddles to you, that your money's going to be gobbled up by dragons if you step foot outside of the country, even if that were to happen, who cares? It was $100. But I think that having these kind of first step, second step, third step is very important. And when it comes to making investments, you just have to force yourself to do the first one. It's like when you wake up in business and you've got a to-do list of stuff. I think it's Grant Cardone who just says, I figure out the most difficult thing, the thing that I hate doing the most, and I do that first. I've seen in my own life, I've tried to assign certain tasks to consultants or to people on my team. They're just difficult tasks to complete. And eventually no one gets the job done. And I just come in and say, you know what? I'm just going to suffer today, and I'm going to do that task. And you know what happens when you suffer and do that task? You realize it wasn't actually that difficult in the first place, and it was just more comfortable, and it felt better afterwards just to do it yourself and get it over with. I think that's, on a behavioral level, what works for people when it comes to doing stuff overseas. Force yourself to open that first bank account. Force yourself to buy that first property. And be honest, $22,000 was what I needed at that time to feel comfortable investing in a brand new market. I had people that I still work with to this day. I still trust their counsel to this day, but I didn't know that as much back then. And so for me, $22,000 was the gateway drug to be able to do $53,000 and then $76,000 and then whatever the other deals were. That was comfortable. So you need to figure out what that is for you and then just do it. Force yourself to do it. And from there, doing begets more doing, to where eventually you'll be in a situation where you're also impulse buying apartments in countries you don't spend that much time in. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.